All right, Kiss Army, welcome to the KissFAQ podcast. Thank you for giving us your time today and letting us into your head. I hope you don't do any damage. This is a Kiss-related podcast by the board for the board. We hope that you enjoy. Welcome to episode 86 and a half of the KissFAQ podcast.
You were saving that all week.
Yeah, this is our second attempt. Actually, it's our first attempt at this topic, but obviously last week we did not manage to produce a show. Well, we did produce a show. We just did produce a show.
I managed not to produce a show.
we just weren't able to share it with you because it was missing something somewhat important called audio.
Poor production on my part.
No. So
Only the Horto's got a copy of it. Only the Horto's got a copy.
Yeah, there's only one copy, and unless you give me $10,000, we're gonna burn it. I'm sorry, unless you give Lonnie $10,000.
Yeah, because I have it. I have the original. I have the master.
So it's just one of those things that happens sometimes. So we do apologize, but we're back this week. So let's jump into today, which Thursday, August 25th. On behalf of the whole KissFAQ family, I think, wish Gene Simmons, the demon, a very happy birthday. So happy birthday, Gene. Don't be causing any tornadoes wherever you are. And I guess that's the other news last night, the tornado warning causing I guess it was a lockdown. Where were they? Toledo? And Toledo. It interfered only with the Dead Daisies sets. Did not affect Kisses. It's not like they were performing and had to stop while they sheltered in place, but still, at least everyone out there was safe. At the show. Yeah. I don't know about the surrounding areas.
I heard that Gene Simmons had summoned the tornado.
I am the god of thunder.
To stop the Dead Daisies from performing any longer.
Well, I could have understood if Caleb was still on there wanting to stop him. The Daisies though, at least have Krabby singing. And who's the guitarist? Doug Aldrich. So yeah, pretty good band. All right, let's jump into today's topic. And today's topic is also about August. I mean, who we're going to talk about was born on August the 6th, but his heart's from New York City. It's the 30th anniversary this month of the release of, do I even have it? Of Vinnie Vincent Invasion. I guess it was the second album to be released by one of the non-original solo members. Followed White Tiger, came out 85, I guess. So Vinny comes out with his finally August 86. And let's just go initial impressions. First time you encountered this stunning piece of Ken, what about you?
Is it?
Ken always gets picked on first.
Voice of reason here. Well, first of all, I did get it, of course, right away when it came out because, hey, Kiss-related, music. And I thought, okay, well, Vinnie Vincent, was pretty good. He co-wrote all those songs on his prior solo album, Look It Up. So...
Yeah, someone had to go there.
Wow.
Well, a majority of them, I guess, or at least half of them. But, those were so good. And, his, I figured, well, it's got to be pretty good. But I did get it, and I remember listening to it. And the music was good. And the thing that initially bothered me was the high-pitched vocals going on. I mean, it just full bored the whole way through, and I was like, wow, it's just too much. It's kind of like Paul Stanley doing his high pitched vocals in Crazy Nights. It kind of gets old. But actually, so that was my first impressions. I was just okay with it. I didn't give it much of a chance, but now listening back to it yesterday, man, I like it a lot better than I did back then. I really actually enjoy it. It's pretty good. So that's how my impression is. The initial impression was, and now is much better.
Now, Alex, I don't believe you had even been born yet when this came out. So
no, I was born in 1989, July of 1989, the 23rd.
So
July.
You're totally post-Invasion because there wasn't any Vinnie band by then.
I am, but I was about, I want to say 10 or 11. And because my dad had this really cool like old suitcase full of like tape cassettes, and he was in the Navy, did 26 years active duty, and he had like tapes from all over the world. And I remember he had like I was like his name, like, oh, Vinnie Vincent. I was like, hey, that's that, I'm saying, like, that's the guy with the gold makeup from Kiss, right? And he's like, yeah, that's his solo tape. And he's like, yeah, go listen to it. And I did, and I was, mine even like a tape, so I don't know if there was like much info on the tape insert or not. And I was like, wow, this guy's voice is weird. And it was just, I wasn't too crazy for it for the longest time. I wasn't crazy for the album or any of the material off of it. But then there was this great Kiss FAQ poster that went by the name The Sphinx. And he was a big Vinnie Vincent supporter.
Ah, yes, the Sphinx.
So maybe like a year or two ago, I actually went and like got him off iTunes and listened to it again, and definitely found a few gems. Back on the streets. Of course, I enjoyed. The Boys Are Gonna Rock. Like, it sounds great, but then you get that real guitar solo. But and then I like the song Baby O. I ended up liking that one too, but yeah, the first time I heard it though, I was kind of like, no, he missed it by a mile.
Yeah, I gotta hold my hand up and say, in 1986, I joined Columbia House, and
what's that?
yeah,
explain that to the youngsters out there.
Well, isn't that what it was? They sent you the stamps, didn't they?
I sent in a penny on a thing, and I got. I don't remember exactly what I got. I just remember Master of Puppets and Vinnie Vincent Invasion, and I remember I traded both pretty quickly because I thought they were really atrocious. Both of those. 30 years later, I think one of them is absolutely one of the most brilliant pieces of music ever released, and then the other one's Vinnie Vincent Invasion. It has not grown on me particularly. I'm highly biased. I really, really, really prefer the Warrior versions of the stuff that was tinkered with for this, tinkered with for Lick It Up, Boys Are Gonna Rock. It's great, and I appreciate it a lot more now. I mean, I'm with Alex to a certain extent on there, that over the years, my view of what Vinny was doing and what he was trying to do, it all makes a little bit more sense than the 14-year-old me who was just like coming in at pretty straight rock and roll at that point. But back then, I got rid of it. I didn't like it. I saw the video for Boys Are Gonna Rock, and I was just laughing my nuts off. It was just one of those things. I thought it was just so hysterically pathetic. And again, the shrieking. What's another album that came out in '86 that had girls on the back cover? I mean, look at these pretty things. Look what the Cat Dragged In was the other one, which I actually thought that was a girl band. Yeah.
Alex.
So, oh shit. Okay, yeah, Sherlock. I'm not, obviously. So, that was mine. Lonnie, what about you? Your first time, I guess.
My first impressions of it was about the same as you guys, and I didn't get it in '86. I got it in about 95, 96, around that time frame, and I got it at a used CD shop for maybe $6 or something like that when I got it, and went home and listened to it. And I guess my first impressions were a lot like your guys'. It's just like, no, at least I only spent $6 on it. I figured at the time, as I'll throw it here next to my other Kiss and Kiss related CDs. And it's part of the complete discography for everybody. And okay, well, I wasted $6, and then I didn't listen to it for a long time. And after revisiting it though, I really enjoy it actually now. I listened to it this morning. Oh, that's a cool backdrop behind you, Julian. You're just kind of doing some self-advertising while you're grabbing yourself a beer. And
that door.
and I listened to it this morning at the gym, and I was like, well, I really enjoyed it at the gym. It was with the guitars in that and the beat to it. It was a great album to work out to this morning. I really enjoyed it this morning when I was listening to it, getting ready for the show. And I enjoyed it a lot more than I thought I would. honestly. I thought when I was queuing it up this morning, I was like, oh, is it going to make my workout really drag listening to this? But I really enjoyed it, and I really surprised myself as much as I enjoyed it. So I can really say I've really done a complete 180 on the initial record from the time when I bought it and listened to it one time and just put it on a shelf as to now. I was like, I could see myself listening to it on the way home tonight. I really did thoroughly enjoy it.
Yeah, I think one of the things that I find interesting is looking back at the album is that while the vocals may be over the top, the guitar work is certainly over the top. It's very well produced. Immediately jumps out at me. They did a very good job on how it sounds. I mean, it sounds dated, but it sounds perfect for that period.
That time period.
Yeah,
and of that type of music.
Yeah, it's over the top, but I mean, it's 1986, and that was the thing. It was
Everything
to be
was over the
as
top.
over the top as you possibly could. And yeah, the vocals and guitars are well over maximum. I mean, but that's exactly what he wanted. It's exactly what he was shooting for, because that was the trend at the time.
Yeah, I love the story of, he'd been working on a guitar solo and working on it, wasn't working. Finally throws the guitar down and sets it on fire and pees on his guitar. While recording the album. But the songs are very well arranged, and there's a lot of really good lyric in that, and that's the stuff that I think Vinnie Vincent really brought to the table with Kiss as a foil with how Gene's often, I guess, accused of having too many cliches or little lines. Vinnie's able to take those and mold them into something cool with his use of the word. So, that's the one thing that strikes me particularly. Let's talk about standout tracks. Alex, put you on the spot because I got to step away from my desk for a second.
Don't leave me in charge again.
Oh, I'd say...
You're not recording, Lonnie. Okay.
I'd say for the standout tracks for me, I really enjoy Back on the Streets. I like the fact that it did have a vocal, even part of it by Vinnie. I say that was part of my disappointment with the album was the lack of lead vocals by Vinnie. Because if you've heard he did them as a Do Exist with him, he actually has a pretty decent voice. And I would say I do like Baby-O. I think that was a pretty decent track. The Boys Are Gonna Rock actually is a fun track too when you go back and listen to them. I still remember. I don't remember. I guess Skipper's track. I remember hearing it once on the Kiss Room. It was like the Valentine. It was like the February episode of like the Kiss Room like 2 years ago, and he did like "Do You Want to Make Love?" and I was like, "What horrendous piece of garbage is this?" and stuff. But looking back, like I said, Back on the Streets, Baby-O, Boys Are Gonna Rock, I think are some pretty good standout tracks that I like in the end.
Good choices. I'm gonna definitely, agree with you on Baby-O, which fantastic rock and roll song, let alone any of the other things you could say. Lonnie, let's go to some of yours.
I really enjoyed Boys Are Gonna Rock this morning when I listened to that, and Back on the Streets. I mean, that's kind of a sought after Kiss song for the original version of it with the Creature Sessions, but it's great on that album as well. And I really like Shoot You Full of Love, and the reason why I like it is because I could see. Couldn't you guys see Steel Panther singing "Shoot You Full of Love"?
Absolutely.
Probably.
I mean, that's like the perfect Steel Panther song. I mean, I was listening to it this morning. It's like, God, like Steel Panther should just like cover this for their next album because it's like so ridiculous. It's perfect for a band like that. But I really enjoyed it. I was listening to Invasion. And then the siren goes off this morning at the end of Invasion. Like, God, how long is this? And it just keeps going. If the people that were around me knew what was going on inside my headphones, like, what is this guy listening to? but no, I think Boys Are Gonna Rock, Shoot You Full of Love, and Back on the Streets are my three favorites. Do You Want to Make Love? I was listening to that this morning. I was like, that's a good song, but I can't. But have you ever asked a girl, do you want to make love? I mean, the lyric itself is kind of weird in itself because like, you never. I don't know. At least you don't phrase it like that ever. It's just really kind of just strange to me. And I was listening to it this morning, but at the same time, it's a good song though too. But I don't know. I have good things to say about this, surprisingly.
Okay, Ken, voice of reason, go for it.
Voice of reason. Well, here it is. Boys Are Gonna Rock. Of course, I love that song. That's a great song. And then I really liked, I was listening to it last night, so it's kind of fresh in my memory. And I really like No Substitute a lot. I think that's a really good song. Really like that. And Animal, that's another one I like a lot too. And then, of course, Back on the Streets is a real good one too. So those are probably I would say 4 favorite. Do You Mile and Make Love's pretty good. Baby O's pretty good too. I like that. Okay. But those first 4, or not the first 4 on the album, but the ones I mentioned initially are pretty darn good. I enjoy them.
Yeah, Back on the Streets. I mean, that's a really good song, but would that have been better if they just left it Vinnie singing it? Because when I listen to that and I hear Robert cuts in, and their voices don't go well together. I mean, it's not a good combination. Alex, you look like you got a thought on that.
Oh, I think there was a demo version with Benny singing it, and so, it's weird because this whole Benny's voice is kind of very low, very bass, like, I guess it'd be bass. I hope it's bass. I don't know vocals and scales for singing. But then, he jumped to a guy getting his balls, cut off him and stuff, and he's like, you're like, hey, what happened? What happened to his voice? And so, yeah.
Yeah, no, Vinny's got a really good voice. And what I've just been flipping through is a press kit, which I just found that I had. Which, so some visuals and shit and stuff. But, continue with your thought that I rudely interrupted.
Oh, no, yeah. I mean, I just think, like you just said, Vinny's got a good voice. And I think, I don't know, it seems almost odd, at least for me, to call the band so-and-so's Invasion or so-and-so's whatever, and then they've got minimum vocal, lead vocals and stuff, especially if they have a good voice. I mean, if he had a crappy voice, it would make sense with him not singing it, but since he does have a good voice, I think there should have been at least 1 track with him, full vocals, or even more tracks. Yeah. I mean, would anybody have bought, Ace Frehley's Comet if it was all Todd Howarth? People would be like, oh, I don't know, what's open here, Ace.
Julian would have.
And I like Todd Howarth.
Yeah, he's okay.
Yeah, Todd's cool, and Todd is a fantastic songwriter, but no one would have given a toss about Todd in 1986. No. In a band with Ace Frehley. Simple as that. And come on, I mean, what's the story that Vinnie had to purchase the Invasion name from, who was it, Greg Leon? I mean, who? Yeah, another one of the 1001 Hollywood guitarists. I mean, he was another one of, like, I guess the Tracy Guns type, who had been in loads of bands with people who eventually, were important. But, Vinnie at least had some cachet coming out of Kiss. And, there's another picture. That's the lineup that does not work. Robert Fleischman. I mean, I think I discovered Robert Fleischman early on, and his solo album, I mean, right after he was in Journey. And it was more, I guess, rock and roll instead of upper register screeching. So that's the real turnoff for the whole thing around Vinnie Vincent Invasion. Where was my thought? I can't remember what the... Alex, what question did I ask you?
You were talking about Back on the Streets, and at least like with Vinnie not having a full vocal, if he should have had a full vocal on Back on the Streets instead of sharing it with Robert Fleischman.
Yeah,
because the changes.
And Lonnie's just sitting there going, yeah.
Sorry. I don't know. I like it. I don't really have a problem with it. I think for the time, I can't remember. It was 1986 though, and hair metal was really, really becoming, or what we call hair metal now, was really becoming, very popular, not just on rock stations, but pop stations as well. I mean, it was the trendy music at the time, and to be over the top and to be as flamboyant as possible. Look what Kiss was wearing in 1986 with Asylum. I mean, is the most over the top costumes Kiss ever wore. So keep that in perspective when listening to this, because that really was the trend. And Alex has a Poison shirt on. Look what the Cat Drag, and Julian mentioned, look what the Cat Drag did from 1986, came out the same year. I mean, as over the top and as flamboyant as possible. Look at what Motley Crue looked like at the time too.
Mm-hmm. Or even I think you could find a video of the band Y&T around like 85, 86, and they had like pink neon going on and stuff.
Y&T, the band that had been around since, 74, 73?
Long time.
Yeah, had gone into that. I mean, that's just...
Well, and Kiss did too. Look at those horrible pictures of Gene on the Asylum tour in 86. So, the more over the top at the time, the better. And I think when you take that snapshot and put this album inside that, it really fits well. But I think the biggest downfall of the album to me, you guys have mentioned the vocals, but the biggest downfall of the album to me is the band's name is the Vinnie Vincent Invasion. Because unless you were a hardcore Kiss fan, you probably didn't know who Vinnie Vincent was.
Maybe.
And you know what I mean? Ken, you knew who he was because you saw the Creatures of the Night tour. You knew exactly who he was when the album came out. Oh, Vinnie Vincent Invasion. That's like, that was in Kiss. He covered all those songs like you were just saying. I'll go grab that. But most people, unless you were a hardcore fan, didn't know who he was. So to call yourself in my opinion, to call yourself the Vinnie Vincent Invasion, the first question people are going to ask, well, who the hell is Vinnie Vincent? Seriously. And it goes back to Vinnie's ego. I think that everybody knows. I mean, it goes into Vinnie Vincent's ego that everybody knows who I am, and I'm, his self-important vision of, his what he thinks of himself. So, and that's why he called it that. But I think maybe if you would have called the band just Invasion, I think it may have stood a better chance. Or Invasion featuring Vinnie Vincent. I don't know.
Or Vin or Vin Vincent. You got like Bon Jovi. So
No.
You make a play on it. No, it wouldn't work.
No, shooting you down.
No, I think you could probably have gone with featuring ex-Kiss guitarist Vinnie Vincent. Oh wait, no, they tried that and got shot down by Gene. Not allowed to mention Kiss.
But I think calling yourself the Vinnie Vincent Invasion at the time, I think you had too much of a feeling of self-importance, and a lot of people don't know who you are. So why am I going to buy it? Who's Vinnie Vincent? I don't even know who that is. But I think if you were just call yourself just a generic band name like that, and the music is good. I mean, I just sat here and talked about how much I like these songs. You guys also talked about how much you like certain songs on the album. And let's face it, all albums have clunkers on them. Not all albums, but majority albums have a few clunkers on them. So, I think that's my feeling of why it didn't work. But that's just me.
Yeah, and come on, what did they release as a single? I just held up the Pink promotional Animal single, or was it Boys Are Gonna Rock? I always forget which is the A-side on that. But, you've only got the Boys Are Gonna Rock video. Later on, you've got the, of all the songs, No Substitute, which that strikes me as a very odd choice for the other ballad. Not least that Gypsy in Her Eyes was if you're going to use Back on the Streets, why wouldn't you have used Gypsy at the same time? That just strikes me as an odd choice, for the material that he chose to use for the album. That little snippet I just played, Invasion, which is one of my favorite songs on the album. Love it, with the exception of that ending that goes on and on and on and on. and on, and not in a good groovy Black Diamond sort of way.
No, not in a good way.
No. So, or what's the Def Leppard album that ends with high and dry? Yeah, ends. One of the sides ends with the
325 or
with the
something
shout.
like that.
So Alex, you're still awake. So what do you think?
I mean, I think that the name, yeah, like I said, I don't know, it wasn't a great name. I think, like you mentioned, just some bad choices. And then I know there's Gypsy in Her Eyes, and then there's the other song, Tears, which also floats around.
Yeah, and that's 1982.
Yeah, and I remember one time, it was funny, I was working at a pizza place here, and I was in the back, like, doing the dishes and cleaning, 2 years ago, and they had, like, the 80s station on Sirius XM, and I guess somebody covered Tears, but I remember, like, I'm cleaning, I'm hearing this song, and I'm like, hey, I know this song, like, man, they're playing a cool, but I'm like, that's not Vinny's, like, version, and then I was like, oh, sweet, like, there was a cover version. I had no idea that somebody had went and covered it and stuff, but...
Someone had a hit with it. That was John Waite had a hit in '84 with that song.
Yeah, John Waite.
So, just like Back on the Streets had been covered before Vinny's band ever came around. But let's think about this album and where it fits into the context of post-Kiss. Animalize. Which of these songs would best have... I think we've talked about this on a previous episode, but since it fits into talking about Vinny and the 30th anniversary of the album today, let's kind of revisit that a little bit. And which of these songs do you think are the ones that would have been on an 84 Kiss album had he remained in the band? Are there any that jump out at you? Animal, for me, is one that I could just see Gene
singing.
Yeah.
Gene.
Definitely.
And Back on the Streets obviously was a reject from Creatures. So, you've got two Kiss connections there.
Mm-hmm.
Shoot You Full of Love. That's, again, Simmons.
You could see Gene singing that.
You could
see, innuendo Gene type song.
Yeah, I mean, this is Spinal Tap. This is Gene Simmons. I mean, there are a lot of songs on here with kind of like the lyrical... little bits and pieces that just go, Simmons, you
sing.
Yeah. So which ones kind of jump out at you that you could see a member of Kiss doing and being comfortable with these and perhaps doing better? Ken?
Well, I agree with you on Animal. That's one I thought that would have worked for Gene. Boys Are Gonna Rock, possibly. Maybe it could have worked. I think it could have worked. I mean, there's parts of it in there that are from on the Eighth Day. Mm-hmm. There's that descending part on there, so I can see, Paul could have done that. And Back on the Streets, yes, obviously, and they tried it. I guess it was rejected, like you said. Do You Want to Make Love? Maybe even with Paul singing that one, I could see that working. And I really like No Substitute, so I would have liked to have heard them do it. Maybe just have, if Vinny was still with them, he could have sung that one on their Animalize album. So that's where I go with that.
Young Alex.
I agree. I think Boys Are Gonna Rock. I'm curious because there is the Warrior version that exists. That's the demo where you have elements of Boys Are Gonna Rock and what we coming on the Eighth Day. Mm-hmm. I'm curious if maybe they might not have done it because they might have been like, well, we didn't like that part of the song. That's why we changed it to make an On the Eighth Day. So, but I could have seen it. I agree. Animal. I mean, I want to say I think that guy, the Sphinx, was busy saying that the song "Animals" behind the inspiration of the title "Animalize" on the message board and stuff. So I don't know too much if there was truth to that or not, but that was his little doctrine he was trying to throw out there. And Back on the Streets, I would have loved, there's the rumored version of the Creature sessions. So I would have loved to have seen that one come out. I think that would have been, one of those ones to go, hey, let's do this song. And I think Baby-O. I think Baby-O would have been a good one. I'm curious. I could see Paul doing it. I can see them not doing it at the same time with the O part, just because you have the intro to Heaven's on Fire with the intro. So I could see them maybe not doing that just because of they want to have, I guess, two songs sounding like the same. So.
Hey, Alex, didn't the Sphinx also say that Baby O was, the precursor to the Justin Bieber, song?
I think so. I don't remember all the
Sphinx
things.
said a lot of things.
Yeah, didn't I ban him?
I believe so.
Lonnie.
Well, I think, that obviously Animal would work well for Gene. I really think that Do You Want to Make Love would really work well for Paul also. I mean, Shoot You Full of Love. You could totally see Gene doing that. It's a total innuendo Gene Simmons tongue-in-cheek type song and that formula had worked well for Kiss prior and it's worked well since. Boys Are Gonna Rock, I could see Paul doing that. So, and I think a lot of these songs would have worked well, and it's really unfortunate we didn't get a chance to experience that, because I think that it could have made for a much better 1984 Kiss album than what we ended up with.
Yeah, I mean, you just replaced Gene songs on that album with Vinnie songs. and you're golden.
Give Gene a co-write on one of them if he changes a lyric around. You let him be happy about it, But I think that you could have really ended up with a much better 1984 Kiss album. I mean, granted, the album sold well because of the hit single Heaven's on Fire, but we talked about, I just mentioned this a minute ago, that there are a lot of crappy songs on a lot of albums. Had you replaced some of the crappy songs on Animalize with some of these Vinnie Vincent co-writes with Gene and Paul to sing, you could have had a fantastic follow-up to Lick It Up, and maybe have propelled the band even further than where they were. So, but I think, like I said, I think there's several songs on here that would work well for Gene and Paul singing, and to me, it's unfortunate that egos or your insanity gets in the way sometimes, and things don't work out maybe the way they could have.
Yeah, just thinking about replacing Gene songs, you could have gotten rid of Logs and Fireplaces and replaced it with songs like Candy Canes and Pleasure Whip Me Blind. I mean, that's where, I mean, that's where it seems to be like a poor facsimile of someone trying to write like Vinnie Vincent, or like I said earlier, where Vinnie Vincent comes in and takes a Gene idea and says, Gene, that's just really dumb. Why don't you say it this way? Oh, okay. Because Come On Break My Candy Cane isn't exactly up there either, but no. I think it comes across a lot better in the Vinnie song than Gene's Fireplace. Jesus.
Awful.
Yeah. Sometimes it's tough to be a Kiss fan. All right.
No, but I think I want to say, you look at almost how Gene and Paul, I feel like, were able to have some control over Vinnie, and he kind of wanted they could have kept that with Animalize, because you hear how great Creatures is, and I think a lot of people can agree Creatures is better than Lick It Up, even though Lick It Up did better than Creatures did, and you kind of wonder,
not today for me.
Alex, you're starting to lose you.
But I don't know, I'm just thinking, like, I'm curious if they would have had some more rain. Kiss had the rain on Vinnie and stuff, but then having some of Vinnie's good songwriting that he was able to do. Because, I mean, those, you look, when you jump a little bit later to Lonnie's all-time favorite, Revenge, with the songs that Vinnie contributed with, and they had some golden gems there, so.
Yeah, but maybe, Vinnie just was too expensive in terms of the drama. In terms of, well, they don't have to pay him any royalties now, at least, but, All right.
Well, yeah, and they already had one guitarist that they were experiencing a lot of drama with, and do they want to continue down the road with a replacement guitarist with a lot of drama? In a different way, of course, but still, instead of having a team player. So, and that's, what they ultimately ended up with Bruce Kulick as the ultimate team player.
Yeah.
Right, so when we're talking about August, and we're talking about Vinnie Vincent, August is also not a very good month for his history. He's got his birth, he's got the release of probably his best solo album, and then he's got the final show of the Vinnie Vincent Invasion that occurred in 1988, Celebrity Theater, I think it was. So he finished up August the 26th, was his tomorrow, 28th anniversary of the final show of the Invasion. So let's talk about album number 2, All Systems Stop, which I think is unfair because I absolutely love this album. From start to finish today, I take this album over the first one.
Really?
Oh, absolutely. In terms of Mark Slaughter singing, it's far better suited to the material. And if you listen to the version of Shoot You Full of Love recut with Mark, he's going into Shriekyville a little bit on there, just like Robert did, but I think his voice and delivery is better suited to the material. But when we talk about All Systems Go, I just find it highly melodic. It's great melodic rock. Simple as that. It's moved away from the glam. Obviously, they did change their image. They put on jeans and did the same thing every other act in Hollywood did after that period of they took those wardrobes back to Goodwill and got rid of them. But I think the material has come along, and I think Vinnie, the songwriting, it's a quantum leap ahead of where he was, even if he didn't get to have all his guitar in the album that he said he wanted. But having heard rough mixes and all that of it, I don't see really what's missing. I just find it a much better balanced album musically, a much better balanced album lyrically, and it's just full of really good songs. I mean, they're all a little bit dated, just like the other album. But Ken, thoughts on All Systems Go? I mean, did you see it as an improvement over the first album, or did you see it as a losing the plot?
I'm sorry. You hear me?
We can hear you. We can
Hello,
hear you now.
London.
This is Mr. Floyd, Mrs. Floyd calling for Mr. Floyd.
I like the first one better, even though I do agree with the vocals on the second one. It was more in tune with what I would like to hear vocal wise. But what's that? Oh,
All access pass. Photo pass to the last show.
Oh,
Look
okay.
at you.
Excellent. But the second one, I was kind of listening to it, and I just can't get into that one. There's some okay material on it, but I think Vinny just went overboard with everything on that thing. And the first one, at least, it's more controlled, if you want to call it controlled. But the next one is mayhem, as far as I'm concerned, and I don't really like it that much. I really don't. I just think it was, unfortunately, not an improvement over the first one.
So it's, if Kiss has Crazy Nights and Vinnie Vincent Invasion is to Crazy Nights as Hot in the Shade is to All Systems Go, I guess moving away from highly polished, over the top, down to ho-hum. Bad analogy? Does that make any sense? Are you going, what the hell is he talking about? Have another cigarette?
I see where you're going, but shoot,
Except
I
in
don't know.
terms of, there's Paul here on my show. I love that now.
Shameless self-promotion.
I don't know. It just got too much. I think too much thought. All right, went into the second album. Just instead of just kind of, getting in there and record these songs in more of a live fashion, and just go get them out and not keep going back and redoing them and trying to get that perfect solo or whatever it may be.
All right, so hold that thought on overthought. Alex, when you first experienced this album compared to the first, how do you kind of figure?
I thought it was better. I thought there was some better tracks, at least for me. I mean, I like Love Kills, Naughty Naughty, and That Time of Year. And so I was like, oh, these ones are a little bit better. I felt like it was a little bit more tamed. But at the same time, there were some songs I was like, yeah, I can do without those songs ever again. Yeah, I don't know. Like, I guess for me, like, I could almost take like a few songs from the first album, a few songs from All Systems Go, and make one CD, and I'm content, and call it a Vinnie Vincent album, and I'd be all right with it. But I did feel like there was a little bit more control, I guess, or I guess taming of the guitar solos on this one a bit. But
Yeah, and I mean, I could go through life never hearing Ecstasy again, and being quite happy to never hear Ecstasy again. I mean, if there's one song on this album that I utterly dislike, then that would be it. But Ashes to Ashes, pure, very, very solid. I think my favorite song on the album is Burn. I like Let Freedom Rock. But, even the ballads, I don't think the ballads on this are as good as on the first album. Obviously, it's hard to put anything Vinnie wrote near Back on the Streets, and Deeper is certainly not. That Time of Year I never liked. I never even saw the video on MTV back in the day, so that wasn't one I was aware of. The only thing I ever saw was the Love Kills Freddy Krueger video. Lonnie.
I like the original album better than this one. Yeah, there's some songs on here that I like. I like Ashes to Ashes and Love Kills and Let Freedom Rock are probably my favorite ones on there. But to me, it doesn't have the feel that, and I know we just talked about how the first one's so over the top guitar-wise and vocally, but to me, that's almost what I want in a Vinnie Vincent album. I want it to be a little over the top like that first one is, because that's kind of who he is. So to me, it kind of loses a little bit that it's of what I'm looking for anyway in a Vinnie Vincent record. I mean, there's some good songs on here, but in comparison, the first one for me is much higher ranking than this one. So, but I mean, like I said, I like Ashes to Ashes. I like Love Kills, Freedom Rock. Let Freedom Rock. That's a great song to listen to over the summer and stuff. You're out barbecuing or something. It's a good song to put on your summer mix list or something. So, but I enjoy it, but just not as much as the original.
Let
Maybe
Freedom
Kiss
Rock.
should have done the Freedom, right?
Yeah, instead of Crazy Crazy Nights. That's like Vinnie saying, you want to write a song like that? This is how you do it. So it's like Vinnie's response to Crazy Crazy Nights, Let Freedom Rock. Oh wait, is it Kiss doing a Freedom to Rock tour? Oh, yes.
A perfect song to throw in.
I was listening to Let Freedom Rock around, I guess it was around the 4th of July or something. I was listening to it, and my wife goes, well, Kiss isn't going to do this on this tour. Paul can't sing like that anymore. I'm like, well, first of all, that's not Paul Stanley.
Yeah.
She was like, oh, I figure Let Freedom Rock, and that's the tour. No, sorry. It's good. I appreciate the effort, though.
Yes, good.
So you better hop on Twitter later and say, Paul, why aren't you singing Let Freedom Rock? It's
a good way to get banned.
It was my favorite song on your Ashes to Ashes album.
I'm gonna piss him off.
It's a good way to get blocked.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah.
Actually, you're pretty entertaining though.
So do you have a favorite song on there that you could actually pick other than, I guess, Let Freedom Rock?
Ashes to Ashes.
Yeah. Good choice. So, poor Vinnie. Still nowhere. Do you think he's got it in him to do, and would you want, people are talking about how Paul's been toying with the album, with the idea of doing another Kiss album, and some people immediately chime in, well, if it's the final Kiss album, why don't you get everyone, who's ever been in Kiss and is still around, and I don't really want to talk about that too much yet, but do you think Vinnie has any relevancy now? Do you think he could put out any music and anyone other than maybe us four and a couple of other podcasts would care, because even Kiss fans don't seem to care about him now. There seems to be an utter love-hate relationship that is generally mostly hate and derision towards him. Does anyone think that he could be relevant as a musician, considering the amount of really good music he has written? Ken?
Well, I think Kiss fans would take notice of it. I think if he did do something, I would like to see him sing, him be the lead singer of the songs, right? And there's something right there that you're flashing. So I would just rather him do it. I don't know where he is now, of course, or I'd tell you. But yeah, I would. I'd probably pick it up because I know he is a good songwriter and a brilliant guitarist and a pretty darn good singer too. So I would try it.
Yeah, I mean, he's been tinkering around. Well, it's been 20 years since Euphoria, and I found I didn't have a copy of that still. I mean, I was kind of embarrassed.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Don't be embarrassed because that's really bad.
No. I love that stuff.
Really?
Yeah, I wish that whole album had come out because, all of that stuff that circulates, what is it, Rocks on Fire. I have always, always, always loved that song. Truth, Nuke It, Shocker, and then, of course, Wild Child and Euphoria and all that stuff that came out on the EP. I was so looking forward to that full-length album coming out. And we got to hear some of Cock Teaser and, Brainsaw, I think it was. There are a couple other, snippets that have leaked out over the years. And it is, I mean, it's back to the first album over the topishness of guitar over guitar over guitar. I mean, it's like a schizophrenic soundtrack of guitar wars. Yeah, so I would absolutely, that's not new music, but I would love to hear where Vinnie Vincent is in 2016 musically. Does he still even pick up an acoustic? Does he still sit there and noodle around for an hour? Does he play? Because somehow I don't see him going back and playing the solo to Boys Are Gonna Rock. Is he creating? Is he writing? What's he writing? How's he evolved? Has he gone country? I mean, there were rumors years ago that he was, secretly writing as a country and western writer. Well, if he's gone that way, I mean, hell, Bon Jovi went that way, and Def Leppard went that way, and I put up with it and at least listened to it and gave it a shot, even if it's not my thing, But what is Vinny doing? It's kind of depressing because there's so much talent there. Alex, would you like a new Vinnie Vincent album? And if you would, what would you want?
I'd like to have it new Vinny. Vinny reminds me, sadly he doesn't get the praise, but he reminds me like Sid Barrett. The original single of Pink Floyd, just kind of off, and I think they got like a song "Shine On You Crazy Diamond," that's kind of like towards, I guess, Sid Barrett. I feel like the same with Vinny. He's this kind of crazy diamond guy. I'd love to hear something, even if he just did an EP, even if he just came out with 4 songs, and even if he did, had a disclaimer, go, hey, like, this is what I've been up to. This is all new material. If you're looking for the Invasion stuff, that's not what this is. If that's what he goes, he might go the Invasion route. But if he goes with the more mellow acoustic stuff, just say, hey, this is some of the stuff I wrote. Maybe sorry I've been away for so long, but I hope you enjoy it. And just do 4 tracks. Do it through iTunes. It doesn't have to do a CD or anything like that. Just do it through iTunes or even just 2 songs on his website. Does he still have a website? TM1 or Meredith, but
Meredith in Department A.
But yeah, I'd love to hear what he's got, and like you said, if he's gone country or whatever, I'd just love to hear it.
Yeah, I don't care if he's gone totally pop into like Bieberville. I don't care. I would like to hear where he's gone, where he's been, and where he's going. Simple as that. I mean, we know he knows how to do iTunes because he got Euphoria up on there. So there's absolutely no excuse, really, for, not being able to release something other than perhaps the Supreme Court thing, and royalties and money all relating to his failed suings of Kiss. So who knows how much harm that caused him economically. It's certainly. I mean, I just can't get over the thought of, if you think of how diverse his material is in the period before and after Kiss, running the gamut from rock and roll into shriek metal, heavy metal, from where he was in the 70s with hard rock. He was doing sessions for guys in Blood, Sweat, and Tears, jazz. He was doing R&B stuff with Black Satin and the Hitchhikers, and he was cutting that novelty stuff with Tommy Rock, which that stuff's pretty cool. But and what's the other one? Oh yeah, Happy Birthday USA and the Exorcism of Karsnicks, or whatever the fuck that B-side is. I mean, Vinnie is like Bruce in that their before and after histories are very broad and diverse in terms of the music that they've done. What should Vinnie have done in '89? Did he miss the boat? Did he disappear?
89.
Yeah, after his band fired him and formed Slaughter, should he have immediately put together another band and gone out and done something, or what? I mean, did he surrender too easily? I mean, Ken, you were actively following the band back then.
Yeah.
Did you know? Well, first of all, let's step back to All Systems Go. Were you aware of that album, Mark Slaughter, and all that history and stuff when it came out, or did you just see a new Vinnie Vincent album and say, "Oh, I better get that"?
I didn't know the real history of it, except that after Slaughter was formed, I realized it. What happened there. But I wasn't too aware of it. I was just expecting another Vinnie album to probably happen. So. What was the question? Did I answer the question?
But should he have immediately put together another band?
Well, yeah, I would have thought he would have just continued. Whether keeping a Vinnie Vincent Invasion with new players, or just starting over and new band name. Maybe that's not even doesn't have his name in the title. Just a band name and get some good musicians out there. I'm sure there's always guys leaving, drummers leaving other bands, and this and that. You get, maybe he could have gotten Eric Singer, who knows, at that time, to be his drummer or something like that. So yeah, I would have hoped he would have continued and created a new band.
Yeah, I mean, at that point, he'd already had two singers, so it's not like change was something that he couldn't cope with.
Or he could sing himself too.
Yeah,
right. It wasn't like something. It wasn't like losing a singer wasn't something he couldn't overcome at the time. He's already crossed that bridge. So it's disappointing that at the time he just almost calls it a day when the bandmates quit on him or fire him or whatever and form Slaughter. And it's really a shame because at the time he was still young enough too that he could still go out there and make some noise and try to, he had, obviously, Julian, you talked about the talent, and the talent is there that he could have came up with something. And is it going to sell out arenas? No, probably not. But it could have made some noise and we could have gotten some enjoyable music out of it. And the problem is at this point, you look at how well some of, and I don't want to criticize Ace Frehley, but you've looked at how some of the Ace albums have sold, and okay, but look at that, and do you think a Vinnie Vincent album is going to sell as well as an Ace Frehley album, or even close of what an Ace Frehley album sold? I don't think so.
No chance.
Not a chance. No, exactly. So I mean, like you said, how many people are really going to purchase it, even on iTunes, outside of the people on this podcast or other podcasts around Kiss-related podcasts and rabid Kiss fans? Other than that, and look at how the Kiss albums even sold. Look what Monster sold. I mean, really, how many people? If and I'm not trying to criticize Kiss, but if Monster sold that much, how much is a Vinnie Vincent solo album going to sell?
Well, you only need.
And Monster came out 4 years ago too. And a lot has changed in 4 years with the way people listen to music.
Yeah, I mean, look at how the Monster sales had dropped compared with Sonic Boom, which was 3 years before that, and then extrapolate down to now. I mean, you could probably sell 939 copies of your album and be number 10 on the Billboard charts that week. You know, gone are the days where people were selling 200, 300, 800,000 copies. It's just, you know, there's no industry left. But what could Vinny do? You know, number one is iTunes. Number two is, you know, direct sale. Well, maybe that's not such a good idea for Vinny, but... you know, CD Baby, you know, so he can put the people's minds at ease when doing that transaction that they will be indeed getting what they order. Now, you know, there's probably a certain amount of baggage left over from archives. You know, I kind of joked about it there a little bit. You know, that archives was a big clusterfuck, that people did not get the product that they paid for, and no doubt that's kind of weighed on him and his ability, but you know, he doesn't seem to want to have anything to do with Kiss fans, which one can kind of understand from one perspective. But look at Ace and Peter and how much money they probably make just sitting down and signing autographs for a day. If he could get over that hurdle, you know, and at least get back out there a little bit, he might find himself feeling a little bit more, you know, comfortable with the whole idea of doing something for the fans. Or he's simply in no state whatsoever to do anything. It's kind of sad. And, you know, every time we talk about Vinny, we kind of end up, you know, with the is he okay kind of question.
Yeah.
Well, the last picture we saw of Vinny was that mugshot, I think, from a few years back, 2010, 2011-ish. And he didn't look really good.
Yeah.
That's 5-6 years ago.
Yeah.
So...
But
Julian,
I mean, I haven't seen a picture of him since then. Have you guys?
No. And Julian, like you said, I mean, I hope he's maybe under a different name. You know, that's fine. And that he's maybe in Nashville writing music for anybody. Just as a writer, there's a lot of writers out there that, you know, in Nashville, that's all they do.
Just write for those country stars.
They write for the other stars. And it's not even just country, you know, it's even pop stars, you know, be writing for. So, you know, he's good enough, that good, I think, that he could sustain a career of just doing that. Really, seriously.
We'll write songs for food.
He could be, you know what? He could be a guitar teacher. But you know, that's a possibility. You know, and speaking of that, I had watched that video today of, you know, that one where he does the training video that he had put out.
Metal Tech.
And he's showing and I was thinking, I'm watching that and I was like, oh my god! And he's just blistering through all this stuff. And if I was there trying to learn, I was like, oh, I would have thrown my guitar away. So forget it. I'm never going to be able to.
This is never going to happen.
It's like I can't do that. Are you kidding me? It's like, oh my god. But anyway.
Yeah, I love Metal Tech because I look at some of the shit he does there and I'm like looking at my fingers and going, I'm sorry, my brain doesn't operate all 5 of these independently while still breathing at the same time. Going to be able to do one or the other, and usually pass out on the floor. It's you know, if he's teaching guitar, I hope he's not going A, you know, D, G, because that would be just so soul destroying.
Oh my gosh!
It would be for him to be that slow.
It would kill him.
There's no way he could do it. You know.
No, you put this finger on the 3rd string on the 3rd fret.
He'd be a mean guitar player. I mean, mean guitar teacher. He would have no patience for as talented as he is, as quick as he is. I think he'd
Get out of here.
Yeah,
give me another kid.
I think he'd be brutal. What are you doing?
But I think we're overdue for something new to leak from Vinny. Maybe some of the 100 demos or the younger generation stuff. I think that stuff needs to come out. And one thing I was following on eBay was Central High, which was the school that he went to in Bridgeport, Connecticut, used to put out a record of its talent show of songs that would of performances that recorded at the talent shows. And one was put out in 67, 68, I think 66 was the other year, and it would raise money. And the 67 one, which he did perform at that talent show, they didn't include anything from him on the album. And
Son of a bitch.
I found it.
Say.
I never did manage to get a copy of that record. So if anyone out there sees Hootenanny Central High LP on eBay, pop up for 67. It's the one with the red cover. You can usually see the credits and everything that's on the back. But surely there must be some early Vinnie Vincent stuff that people are sitting on, whether it's him performing with Little Anthony the Imperials, because he apparently went on tour with them in 74. I think there was a story, his guitar got stolen or lost at the airport, a black Les Paul or something. And then, of course, the stuff from the 60s, which is really kind of fascinating with the bands that they actually opened for. It would just be great to hear some really, really old Vinnie Vincent stuff, older than the Happy Birthday USA stuff, which right now is, I guess, some of the earliest, and what is it, that other R&B stuff I mentioned earlier. So Alex, would you go and see Vinnie Vincent if he was signing autographs at an expo?
Oh yeah, I'd like to get something of his. I've got a few signatures from the original lineup, and Bruce and Tommy. I'd like to get something from Vinny, be it a signed thing, or flip, I'll take a guitar pick if if he made some guitar picks and just handed those out instead of signing stuff. I was happy that he kind of followed through with those T-shirts he did a couple years ago and stuff. But I remember one time when he had his website, I sent them an email because they were doing the T-shirts, and I was like, I don't want to spend $75 on a T-shirt. And so I wrote them and was like, hey, is he going to do any signed photos? And they responded back with like, yeah, send $200. For like an 8x10. And I'm thinking, are you gonna give me like
and send a prayer along with it that you actually get it in return?
Send a Sharpie too.
Yeah, you're thinking like, well, if I'm paying $200, does that include like, your 2 albums, the Invasion albums and the EP? Not even unsigned.
Is he gonna hand deliver it to me?
Yeah.
That's
so
problem
give me a phone call for 5 minutes. If it had been like a 8x10 and a phone call for 5 minutes, then yeah, sure. But
yeah, you got a little greedy there.
It's funny. I was thinking like, when I remember I was kind of a punk, and I was thinking like, if he is gonna do like a signed thing for like that amount of money, let me see if I can find it. I just had it here earlier. Like if I could pick what photo to get signed for $200, and I would have been like,
oh no,
no,
that's the mugshot.
No.
Security.
I would have, I would take like Lick It Up. That if I was going to get some song, I would have Lick It Up song.
Yeah,
that one. But there was a pretty cool photo of Vinny in the box set, the booklet. Like with it, I think they're talking about like War Machine and stuff. There's a cool photo of him in that, in the Kiss box set booklet. So did I miss an opportunity? Maybe. Am I upset about it? I don't think so. He has a chance. If he's hurting for money and stuff, he knows what to do. People paid it.
Yeah. Ace and Peter clean up at those things when they do that. I mean,
yeah,
I've met Ace at them at a couple like horror movie conventions that have come to town, and I've traveled to Chicago to meet Peter, and at $40 a pop for an autograph, or $80 for a premium item, or Ace Frehley at $300 to sign a guitar or something. Hey, Vinny, you could, if you need some cash, you could clean up, and I think like when Peter did those, like Peter did some like right when his book came out, and we drove to Chicago to go see him because like I don't know if I'm gonna get a chance to meet Peter Criss ever again, so we went and drove up there to get him, to meet him and to get him to sign a few things. So I think that if Vinny were to do something like that, I mean, I'd drive from St. Louis to Chicago to go meet him and get a few autographs, and I think a lot of people would too. But is he willing to do that? Obviously.
But you won't drive 2 hours to the Kiss show that has happened recently.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Are you full of regrets, Lonnie? Are you hurting?
Somebody asked me on Facebook the other day, well, did you go to the show in Springfield the other night? And I said, no, I'm sure you're probably a little disappointed in me, and I'm a little disappointed in myself too. And like some of my friends saw it and like commented like, I can't believe you didn't go. Like, no, I didn't go. I managed to buy some expensive Guns N' Roses tickets, and I was not able to talk my wife into another concert trip a month later. So
you'll get over it, because I remember passing up Aerosmith Kiss.
Yeah.
So, and I guess part of it is I didn't want to see.
Thayer thing?
I didn't want to see. Well, no, he didn't want to. I didn't want to see Kiss opening up for anybody else.
Sure.
I thought that was sacrilege. So I wasn't.
That was your boy
my other reasoning there why I wasn't going to go.
Oh, you've offended Alex.
Sorry, Alex.
Again.
You're Aerosmith fan?
You just insulted Aerosmith.
Screw you guys.
He's like, yes, Alex, we're nearly done.
Oh, no.
Sorry to bother you.
You've stayed awake the whole show. You've been such a good guy today.
Thank you.
Married life obviously suits you.
Oh, it's doing pretty good. It's pretty good. But I would say back to at least the Vinnie at the Expo. It's funny because when you hear the fans that went to the expos that he participated at, they said he was rather, except for some of the later, the last ones he did. But the other ones, he always said he was really good with them. And, it was nice. They got to meet him, get a picture, and he signed the stuff. Of course, towards the end, it's when he went a little different with his thought process. And, but, yeah, I wish he'd do something like that. I'd wish he'd, I got to say, I was really mad with Decibel Geek with the little April Fool's joke they did. It wasn't even April Fool's. It was like March, 29th or whatnot when he did it. When it was like the exclusive Vinnie Vincent interview.
You have Vinnie on there, yeah.
Yeah. Who would not like to interview Vinnie Vincent? But who's going to pay $10,000 for the privilege with all the garbage that probably goes with it? I think if Vinnie is in any state mentally, emotionally, physically, everything, to even want to be out there, which he obviously is not at this point, then the signing of autographs at expos is a really easy way of doing things. One thing that did kind of come to mind with the European expos is that a certain amount of his behavior there possibly was simply a result of him being in Europe and knowing that he was 5,000 miles away from home, and if he split, he kind of had them over a barrel to a certain extent, and they were going out of their way to kind of please him. He also knew that if he did get on a plane and go back to the States, that what could they do? Whereas if he's in the States and he misbehaves, that someone can come and get him legally. And as he well knows from, the legal struggles he's had over the years with KISS, is that they can come and get you and really get you. Simple as that. So, maybe it's just not realistic to expect anything. I would interview him in a minute. I would fly tomorrow with video camera and tripod in hand and sit down with him if he did, but if he wanted to, and give him full control over the edit and all of that. It would just be great to catch up with him and not get inside his head. I don't want to go there. I like to get inside his music. As simple as that. I'd like to talk to him creatively, even though I don't speak the language, and I'd be like that really bad guitar student who would probably hit with a guitar by the end. Simple as that. I'm not like Tim or Mark, who really speak music and could talk to him on that level that he understands. But it would be just cool to get him out there.
I'd love to hear him.
say I really hope, if anything, he's at least written down some stuff, even if it comes after he, passes, kind of a thing, just to see what happens. And I agree with you. Like, I'd love to just sit. I'm really curious. Not to divert maybe too much the subject. He signed those posters for the Kiss World store that was going to be in Australia. Was there ever any discussion about the guy that went to go get those signed, or who sent them or whatnot? Because there was that photo, and then that was kind of it.
Probably Tommy.
Probably so. I think, probably might have been Tommy. But I was just curious on that.
But like anything else, they're probably being hoarded.
Yeah. I was gonna say, I'd like to hear his story, really. Whether he does it in like you interviewing him, just to tell his story. I mean, I just want to hear it, the whole freaking thing, from the beginning. Write a book. I mean, I hope he would write a book, And what's that, Julian?
Oh, there's an idea. Write a book.
Write a book. I believe Kiss fans would snatch it up. Definitely. I mean, he's gonna dish the dirt, I'm sure, what went on back then and how everything went down between Kiss and then his own band and the Slaughter debacle and anything else, just, go ahead, write it, tell your story. I think I would love to read it and see that.
I think a Vinnie Vincent book would sell much better than a new Vinnie Vincent album would. And I think Kiss fans would be a lot more intrigued to go pick up the Vinnie Vincent autobiography, and then they would a new Vinnie Vincent album, because I think Kiss fans that you're just saying, I'd love to interview him. I'd love for him to do an interview, because that's the missing story from some years that are very curious to the band, and I think people would love to get some insight of what really happened with his input in Creatures of the Night, with Lick It Up, with taking off the makeup, with him leaving. Was he involved to some extent with Animalize? There's room. How did the Vinnie Vincent Invasion implode upon itself? I think Kiss fans would eat that up a whole lot more than they would a new Vinnie Vincent album. Even though I'd like to hear more Vinnie Vincent music, I think that the book would be much more successful in an album.
Yeah, and when you also add in, kind of all the stuff that was missing from Ace and Peter's books, particularly Peter's, and this was the one thing that really bugged me with his was, the answers to, it'll be in the book, and then there's nothing about nothing. In the book is, all of those side projects that I've mentioned, getting Vinny's take on, walking us through his life from his parents' musical beginnings to his, early beginnings in Bridgeport, working through those bands I mentioned into Hunter, how did he get on, Connecticut Recording Studios? That was Paul Lecca, who owned that, and he owned the Colgate or whatever the mansion was that Ace recorded his solo album in. That was his studio that Vinny's working in 74, 73, when he's a young guy. How the hell do you get on a Little Anthony tour as a touring musician when you've done very little? There's just so much to say. Even the 70s, before he gets anywhere near Joni and Chachi and, the songwriter for the shows, and I still want to know why his name shows up in Falcon Crest's credits when I've got every single season sitting over there, and I've slowly tried to sit through them. That's the worst project I ever took on, buying Falcon Crest to try and find if there's any Vinny related music in there. Yeah, what I've done for the FAQ. Fuck that. Oh, I said a bad word. I'm sorry.
Wow.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. That simply is.
Wow.
Felt like it is.
So a Vinny autobiography would be a wonderful thing, even if it was batshit crazy delusional.
Well, that's exactly what it would be. Yeah. But it'd be fantastic. I mean, you think Peter Criss did some bitching in his autobiography? Man, there would be some bitching in that autobiography. There's no doubt about it.
Just think of the targets
and some finger pointing. Man, it would be ruthless, I think.
Oh, I mean, Dana, Mark, Gene, and Paul,
It would be ruthless.
Gosh.
and maybe some of the expo organizers in Europe,
Yeah.
and that guy, that KissFAQ bastard who sent me a 50-page interview.
Son of a bitch.
50 page.
Yeah, it was edited too. Yeah, that came back, returned to sender. I still got that. Refused service or whatever was
Goodness.
scrolled on the front of that. So at least I tried.
That's
So
funny.
all right, let's wrap it up. So that is Vinnie Vincent 30th anniversary of the Invasion album. How time flies. I mean, wow, I'm getting old. Yeah, Ken laughs. Which, by the way, I've just noticed that I see something in your background today. Bravo. Yes.
Right there.
Yes.
Yes.
Very nice.
Very good book. I can finish reading it, and it was fantastic, thoroughly enjoyable, and a lot of interesting things I never knew
Finished mine
about
too.
the Elder. And the one thing I wanted to ask about that real quick before we leave here is the end of the Bob Ezrin, interview. It's kind of ended abruptly.
Yes, it did.
But and I don't know what the reasoning for that was, but it got to that one point where he says that's interesting or whatever he said at the end there, and I thought, what happened? It's kind of like, is he going to reveal more in the future?
Cliffhanger.
Yeah.
Yeah, who knows?
There may be more.
Who knows what is possible and what is not possible,
Yeah.
But thank you for your kind words. Obviously, Tim and I
very
appreciate
good.
it. We're nearly there. For everyone who's sick of our teasers and our Facebook postings, it's part of the process that, we're enjoying sharing some stuff as in the lead up to the publication of the book. And it's, just something fun. And there'll be some other cool things coming down the pipeline before September the 16th. So.
Cool.
All right. No other final thoughts. Alex, thank you for staying awake. I'm going to cancel that order for the Kiss pillow for you because,
No, thank you.
on some earlier episodes you looked really tired and you're like dozing off. Yeah, go. Okay. Ken, thank you. And Lonnie, thanks for taping.
Thank you.
Good job.
Well, thank you for taping, Julian, actually.
Thanks for backing up.
Real quick before we go, I talked about this last week, even though nobody heard it, but people who were on the show.
Yeah, you could do it again now.
Right, I can do it again. I started, and if anybody is interested, I posted on the sports section on the FAQ that I'm starting a KISS FAQ Fantasy Football League. Our draft is Friday, September 1st. There's still a few spots available. It's a 10-person league. It's free to do. I'd love to fill up. There's 3 more spots remaining. I'd love to fill up the last 3 and have to expand it. So if you're interested in doing it, it's through ESPN, or you can direct message me on the FAQ, and I can send you the link to get you hooked up. So should be fun.
Is it the LA Kiss Fantasy Football?
That's a different type of fantasy football.
Oh.
That's where they really, really wanted to play football, but ended up playing at LA Kiss, right?
There you go.
Exactly.
Go Las Vegas Raiders.
Yeah, did you see that today?
Shit.
Wow.
I could see I could see a whole bunch in NorCal and SoCal because obviously it was wasn't it Los Angeles Raiders in the 80s, Ken?
Yeah, Los Angeles.
Yeah.
What about the Raiders moved to St. Louis? We need a team. We could call them the River City Raiders. What do you guys think about that? You like that? No.
Let's see. Do you want to go to St. Louis or do you want to go to Las Vegas?
Yeah, I'd like.
Give me the Las Vegas
What are you
Chips.
trying to say, Julian?
I'm
The Las Vegas
saying
Chips.
nothing. Nothing whatsoever.
The Blackjacks. Ooh, that.
All right, that's the end. So thank you for listening to us ramble on, and why don't you go and throw in your copy of Invasion, not in the garbage can, into the CD player, and give it a listen. 30 years, see how your opinion of it may have changed or not. And, share your thoughts with us on this topic on the FAQ message board or find us on Facebook. So, we appreciate you listening, and we appreciate you waiting for an extra week for an episode. So from Alex, from Ken, from Lonnie, and myself, thank you for listening, and we will catch you next time. Thank you for spending time listening to the KissFAQ podcast today. All sales are final. There are no refunds. If you'd like, look us up on Facebook or come over to the KissFAQ message board and discuss the topic we broadcast today. Don't forget to rate us on iTunes, Spreaker, or wherever you've listened to the show. We hope you'll join us again.